Now, if you want to know the definition of dyspraxia, then you've come to the right place. Now, this definition is inspired partly by the Dyspraxia Foundation. So what is dyspraxia? Well, I like to break dyspraxia down into two phases, and that's the macro and the micro. Now, what does that mean, you may be asking? Well, the macro is fine motor coordination and it's gross motor coordination. So, what is the micro? The micro is speech, learning, eye movements, perception, and learning. So, let's move on and let's get deeper into what this actually means. So let's specifically talk about the gross motor coordination. So when we're talking about gross motor coordination, what are we referring to? Well, we're referring to various elements such as difficulty catching a ball, poor balance, poor posture, poor hand-to-eye coordination, and the tendency to fall or trip. So basically you could say Jack has dyspraxia and he has difficulty catching a ball and he has poor balance. Or Sally has dyspraxia and this is evident because she has poor hand-to-eye coordination and she's always struggling with regards to falling or tripping over. So now we're going to talk about fine motor coordination. So again, what do we mean by fine motor coordination when we're talking within the dyspraxia context? Well, let's look at the various elements of this. So we could be talking about difficulty dressing. We could be talking about difficulty using cutlery, difficulty cleaning, difficulty playing instruments, issues with pen grip. And we can be talking about difficulty with locks and keys. So let's go back to our example with John. So John has dyspraxia, and this is evident because he has difficulty playing instruments and he also struggles with his pen grip. And then let's take Sally, and Sally, she has difficulty cleaning because of her fine motor coordination issues, and she spends 10 minutes trying to open the door because she struggles with putting the key in the lock. So now let's talk about the phase 2 element of dyspraxia, or the micro element of dyspraxia. And here it gets a little bit more complex. So let's first start off with, let's call it 2 elements. And those 2 elements are speech language and perception. So when we're talking about speech and language with regards to dyspraxia, we're talking about unclear speech, issues with volume, and issues with pronunciation. And when we're talking about perception, we're talking about a bad sense of direction, lack of spatial awareness, and oversensitivity to light. So again, let's take our friend Jack, and let's say that his dyspraxia is evident because he has an oversensitivity to light and he is unclear in his speech. And let's take Sally, and again, her dyspraxia is evident because she has issues with pronunciation and she has a lack of awareness with regards to spatial awareness when she's communicating with friends. So we're still on phase 2 of dyspraxia, and we're going to introduce 2 new elements. And these elements are eye movements. And with eye movements, you can have issues with reading because when you're reading, your eyes are moving, and also issues following an object. So think of a plane. When a plane moves, your eyes are moving to follow in the plane. And in theory, someone with dyspraxia may have issues with this. And then the new element as well is learning. And when we talk about learning, we're going to be talking about 3 things in particular, which is organization, memory, and structure. So let's bring back Jack, and let's say Jack's at university, but he's having issues reading, and that's causing him some problems. And he also has issues with memory, which is impacting his ability to do well in his tests. And then let's bring back Sally. She's having issues following objects. So if she sees a plane moving, that can cause some problems. She's also having issues reading, so that's compromising her ability to learn. And she's also having issues with organization. So as you can see, when we're talking about the phase 2, the micro element of dyspraxia, we can see various things here, and we can see how they can impact people in different ways. So in conclusion, we can say the following: dyspraxia can be defined in 2 phases, and those 2 phases are phase 1, the macro, and that's gross motor coordination and fine motor coordination issues. And then we can add phase 2, which is what I refer to as the micro. And the micro is speech, language, perception, and eye movements. Some may also include emotions in that as well. And another thing I would like to bring to your attention is that dyspraxia is complex. And we can see this because the definition can be very vast. And that's why I used to liken dyspraxia to a Rubik's Cube, because a Rubik's Cube, or should I say completing a Rubik's Cube, could be seen as difficult, complicated, and complex. And dyspraxia can be difficult, complicated, and complex with regards to truly understanding what it is. So I hope you have found that definition of dyspraxia informative and comprehensive. Now, if you like this type of material, then why not consider hitting that like button and subscribing.